Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everyone to episode 5 of the Fart Lecture series of Fart History 69. I am Fart McButtface, resident Fart Cloud VTuber, as well as the chair of the department for in University. I'm joined by guest lecturer Galaxypox, who is also a professor of history and graduating with honors. Very big Pog champion moment. Would you like to introduce yourself, Dr. Pox?
Hello, I am Dr. Pox, and I'm here to talk about my big project from this semester, and I hope you all enjoy.
And I'm going to be giving the reins to Dr. Pox. She'll be in control of everything. If you have questions, be sure to just drop them in the chat, and she'll probably read them. Probably.
Hopefully.
Yeah. But I'll probably just DM her if there's something that needs to be, if she misses something big. And then we will also have a Q&A at the end. Feel free to continue chatting. Feel free to make comments. And we are a safe, inclusive space, so everything's allowed. No holds barred, except for racism. Racism bad. Racism very bad. Exactly, go little rockstar. But anyways, take it away, Dr. Pox. Oh, actually, one more thing. This VOD will be available on Twitch for about a few months, and it'll be available on YouTube in 24 hours after this. Unless Dr. Pox is like, you know what? This stream is shit. Strike it. That's the only situation.
You know, it may happen. You don't know.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe this is the one time you get to see it. Ooh, scary.
Limited time only.
Yeah, limited time only lecture. This premium content right here. But anyways, go ahead. I've talked long enough.
Okay, hello again. So, my project in this lecture is called Satanic Panic, Moral Turmoil in the United States from 1960 to 1999. And this project would be about Satanism and Satanic Panic. So, to start, I should probably define Satanism and Satanic Panic for people that may not know. And Satanism is hard to define, just a little FYI. It's so many different perspectives and ideas go into the definition of Satanic Panic, or Satanism, sorry. But one of the authors I used in my sources, Massimo Intravine, defined it as the worship of the character identified with the name Satan or Lucifer in the Bible by an organized group of people with at least minimal organization and hierarchy through ritual or liturgical practices. And my personal definition is pretty much very similar, although I define it as like the belief in Satan or the worship of just the character, so you can be atheistic and be a Satanist. And Satanic Panic is a moral panic, and a moral panic is the fear that something that's against the norm of the society is going to corrupt it. So with Satanic Panic, it's the fear that the occult is troubling a country and corrupting it. And this country we'll be focusing on is the United States. So why this topic? I like the taboo aspects of life. I like literature, art, film, self-expression. It's all, horror, taboo, stuff that's not really normal. And I'm also a member of the Satanic Temple, which is an atheistic political group under the name the Satanic Temple. And I've been a member for about a year now. So what I hope to discover is how Satanic Panic had positive and negative impacts on society and culture during the 60s to the 90s. And my research questions were, what fuels Satanic Panic? What makes something satanic? And does the understanding of Satanism change over time? So my thesis is Satanic Panic did have negative impacts during the 1960s to the 1990s. It caused individuals and companies to be accused of being satanic, damaging reputations. And it also had a lot of positive impacts as well with art and self-expression. And it's worth looking into because it caused a lot of moral turmoil in United States social and cultural history. Historiography includes these four authors: W. Scott Poole, Stanley Cohen, Massimo Intervene, and Hugh B. Urban, all scholars and professors that cover theology and Satanism. And Poole wrote Satan in America, the Devil We Know, which, side fact, I emailed this author, and I will be sending him my paper as well because he's interested. Big pogs. Stanley Cohen, he was one that coined moral turmoil, and I used his definition of moral turmoil in Folk Devils and Moral Panics to help define it and set the stage for this. Massimo Intervene wrote Satanism: A Social History. His focus is on many countries, whereas Scott Poole's focused in America. And Hugh B. Urban wrote New Age, Neo-Pagan, and New Religious Movements in Contemporary America as a way to give me some more negative aspects of future topics in this paper that need to be talked about. My primary sources and research methods include Anton Lavey, Satanic Bible, Devil's Notebook, and Satanic Witch. Big person to go to, who I believe, well, I'll talk about later. I'll get to that in a second. William Deere, who wrote a book on the recounting of a very publicized case that the media put Satanism to. Kenneth V. Lanning, Robert L. Marsh, and Hurst W. Gayland all wrote documents on how to spot the occult and Satanism, but their documents are very different. One is very neutral, and Robert L. Marsh and Hurst Gayland's is very biased. My research methods include JSTOR searches, newspaper articles, 2 professors at the university I'm going to, and connections with Sarah Chase, the infernal high priestess of the Church of the Four Crown Princes, another sect of Satanism. So, to get into the meat and potatoes, it do be real. I talk to her. I know her. I play games with her. Anton Lavey and the Church of Satan. So, Anton Lavey founded the Church of Satan on April 30th, 1966 in San Francisco on the pagan holiday Walpurgis Night, which is kind of like a spring rejuvenation pagan holiday, and he did that purposefully because pagans are considered satanic. No, I don't think she plays Overwatch. Anyways, he declared himself the Black Pope and High Priest of this church, and his reason was that he witnessed the hypocrisy of Christians. He worked at a carny playing the organ, and on Saturday nights he would play at the provocative burlesque shows, and on Sundays he'd play at the church tent, and he'd see the same men coming in from Saturday to Sunday night, to repent for doing what they did before. He was a self-proclaimed carny. That's his words. The church performed black masses, which mirror the Catholic Church's masses, but they're much more theatrical, very dramatic. They did satanic baptism. Anton Lavey baptizes his 3-year-old daughter on the altar, which he's standing by in the group picture, next to a naked woman on the altar as well. I was not allowed to put that when I presented this to my school. They did marriages, and he also did funerals and funeral rites. The church was a non-theistic church, so that means they didn't believe in Satan. Actually, they didn't really believe in God. And the philosophy that was held by him and the church was misanthropy, the dislike of humans and humankind, and they also believed that humans are inherently selfish and brutal, and humans should embrace that aspect of life. I when I did my research for this, I believe that Anton Lavey and the Church of Satan was like the spark to really set off the panic. Like, there was build up before the 60s, but I really feel Anton Lavey's very dramatic approach and the Church of Satan's approach really pushed for Satan and Satanism to take hold of America. So media uproar. Media played a huge role in fueling the panic. The newspapers would use eye-catching titles like Satanism, Satanic, Evil, Sacrifices, the Occult, Parents Believe, and so on, as a way to like get people worried because Satanism was corrupting America. These two books were showed in the media and show how the media really went into a frenzy to show that Satanism was in America. Yeah, Capstone also did a panic. We should do a paper on that together next time. So Michelle Remembers was published in 1980, and it documented Michelle remembering her past, which was her witnessing horrific abuse through the hands of Satanists and her mother and violent rituals. And the media like ran with it. This was the big thing. Like, she was on Oprah, she was on the Donahue show, and they took her word as fact. However, it is a discredited book because they used hypnotherapy, which isn't that reliable. And also the patient, Michelle Smith, and her doctor, Lawrence Padster, got in a relationship as well. So it really hindered the evidence. And there was no documents corroborating any of the stuff she said. Like, she said she was a part of an 81-day ritual, but no school records show she was missing those days, and no records show a car accident that she supposedly was involved in that was set up to murder her by a satanic group. So there was no evidence of a car wreck involving a child her age during the years that this happened. And then The Dungeon Master, The Disappearance of James Dallas Egbert III by William Dear was published in 1984, and it was William Dear's recount of the James Egbert disappearance. The 16-year-old boy had disappeared. He was in college. He was very bright, very gifted, and William Dear was hired as a private investigator to look for him, as he had several cases in his pockets that really amped his background in solving cases. And the media somehow found out that this child played Dungeons and Dragons. So they ran with that. They kept asking Dear if it was all Dungeons and Dragons, and it really wasn't. While it played a part in him planning his disappearance, he really was just a teen boy facing mental health issues, drug abuse issues. He was facing issues with his sexuality, and when he disappeared in 1979, it was a hard time to be anything not straight. So he was just struggling and had no support. He was ostracized for being so young at college. He disappeared. And he was found, and unfortunately he did commit suicide a year later. But the media really pinned it on Dungeons and Dragons and Satanism. The Satanic Panic in the Courtroom. Here, the first one, which is the coin in P&G Sue Satanism. There was false rumors about their old logo here presented, that it was a hidden satanic logo. And it was said that the man had, his two curls on the top and the bottom, were, like his hair and his beard, were horns. And there's a hidden 666 in his beard as well. So that rumor started it, that was a satanic imagery on the logo that P&G was using for hundreds of years. And then after a while, P&G sues James and Linda Newton in 1985 because they made pamphlets claiming that P&G, which is a household product company, P&G was supporting and funding the Church of Satan, when in reality they weren't. There's no records on the TV shows, which they were accused of doing it on either the Donahue show or 2020, but neither shows have record. Neither shows have record of a P&G spokesperson confirming that. P&G said they got hundreds of thousands of calls of angry people yelling at them, saying they're not going to support their business anymore for being in ties with Satanism and the Church of Satan. And P&G won that case because, like I mentioned before, there was no records of them ever admitting to doing that. And the next case in the courtroom that I want to talk about is the Memphis Three. 3 teen boys were accused of killing 3 8-year-old boys, Stephen Branch, Michael Moore, and Christopher Byers in 1993. And those 3 teens were called, their names were Damien Eccles, Jesse Miskelly Jr., and Jason Baldwin. And the prosecutor claimed it was a satanic ritual, and the 3 were sentenced in 1994. Damien sentenced to death, Jesse sentenced to life with 2 20-year sentences, and James sentenced to life. And it later came out that the police made many errors with this investigation. At the crime scene, the police were trampling about. They didn't close it in time. They moved the bodies. And that affected rigor mortis, and it affected the positioning, and it furthered the decay process. The police supposedly coerced a confession out of Damien, and what's interesting with Damien is Damien, and what's interesting is they also did this with Miskelly, and what's sad with Miskelly is he had an IQ of 72. So he was above the line of, like, he wasn't very bright academically, and he was really easily taken advantage against, and the police kind of used that. He says that he tried retaking his statement and he felt very pressured. He was spent 12 hours in the confession room, and that just pushed people to believe they were innocent. And as more evidence points, it points to a stepfather of one of the 3 boys rather than these 3. And it's a happy ending for them. They were all released in 2011 on an Alford plea deal, which they plead guilty, but they can still assert their innocence, and they're free now, and they talk about it. So fueling satanic panic and moral panic. These 3 art forms. So these 3 different art forms, how old are they right now? I believe they, when this happened in 1994, when they were sentenced, I believe they were all like 17 to 18 years old. I think the oldest was 19. So they're probably if my math's not mathin', they're probably like in their 30s, 30-ish, maybe younger, maybe older. But yeah, they're probably in their late 20s when they got released. But my maths ain't math, and I'm a history major, not a math major. So art forms such as Rosemary's Baby, which was released in 1968, the movie, The Exorcist, the novel, which was published in 1971, and Dungeons and Dragons, which was first published in 1974, all fueled satanic panic. They all had themes of demons and the occult in them, but they all have positive impacts. Rosemary's Baby is kind of seen as positive. Well, both Rosemary's and Exorcist are positives, as they inspired and changed the way horror movies were made and how books were made, and they opened the doors for others to explore the themes of the cult. But with Rosemary's Baby, with the further research I did, it's very much a tell on abortion, as when this was released before Roe versus Wade, abortion was very much up in the air. And it's very much a telling sign of this woman gets impregnated with Satan's spawn, and she has to go through the trouble of dealing with that. And it's kind of like has a cult following of it speaking about abortion and advocating. Dungeons and Dragons' positive impact is it really let people explore their creativity and imagination. And as the original creators said, nothing is impossible in the game. And it really got people together, it got people thinking, it got people really much enjoying spending time and thinking of stuff. But it was considered satanic because it has tieflings. We all know tieflings are not good. JK, I love tieflings. Music. We cannot forget about the music. Bands such as, Slayer, Ozzy Osbourne, Solo Act, Black Sabbath with his other band, they all use demonic imagery. And like with AC/DC's lyrics in Highway to Hell, parents were worried that the bands were corrupting the youth, but the bands simply use these themes as a way to be offensive and to counter the norm, and by being offensive and outrageous. And their music and success influenced more artists, which is positive, and really helped the genre of metal become big as it is today. And people found communities through these bands and made lasting friendships. And it was found in the 80s that these groups of people, these fandoms, that is true. A lot of older parents now listen to AC/DC when it was not permitted back in the day. But they did a study and found that these groups had immense loyalty between fans, and they may be small and they may have their own issues involving sexism and whatnot within these communities, but they were loyal and they were all happy, and they found metal music in this genre as a way to release energy and to have fun. And there's two specific cases I wanted to talk about that these bands were affected by satanic panic. Judas Priest is an English band formed in 1969 in England and is regarded as a heavy metal band. And they toured all through America, and this story happened in America. That is true. They're more loyal than Stalin's Cabin. That is very true. They were considered a satanic band because they used demonic energy in their albums, and lyrics like "The streets run with blood from the mass mutilation as carnage took the toll for the bell." And in 1985, two boys, Jace Vance and Ray Belknap, I think they're both 18, or one was 18, one was 19, committed suicide, and their parents sued the band in 1990. And they said that there were subliminal messages throughout the songs, and when you play them backwards, they were hearing stuff like "do it" and "fuck the Lord, fuck all of you." And Judas Priest was innocent. The judge ruled in their favor. There was a lack of substantial evidence, and the subliminal messages, according to the judge, sounded more like guitar riffs and just breaths between the songs rather than the band saying "do it." And with further investigation, it turns out these two boys listened to the band, but they also had issues with substance abuse and mental health, and that they listened to the band and the parents assumed it was the band's fault. In the actuality, it was not. And then the band Slayer is a thrash metal band that was formed in 1981 in California, United States. They were sued for influence on a satanic ritual. And their band's themes with their songs and art were demons, politics, Satanism, the occult, and a lot more. And the family of Elise Poller, here on the left, sued in a civil case, saying Slayer was responsible of the violent torture and murder of their daughter. 3 teen boys took her out promising weed, and they tortured and murdered her. I won't go into details. It's pretty gruesome. you could look it up yourself. But the family said that Slayer was responsible in influencing and instructing the boys. And as well as the boys' first confession, they said Slayer and satanic ritual. However, the judge ruled in Slayer's favor as there was no solid evidence, and the three teenage boys' story really flip-flopped between yes, it was, no, it wasn't, yes, we listened to Slayer, but they weren't involved, no, it wasn't Slayer, but it was satanic. It was just, they had too many confessions, and the judge ruled in their favor. And the judge stated, Slayer's lyrics are repulsive and profane, but they do not direct or instruct listeners to commit these acts that resulted in the vicious torture murder of Elise Poller. And overall, these cases stuck with them and still stick with them. So their reputation by Satanic Panic hurt them. However, they're still successful and they have big fan bases and community and loyalty and such on. And these are two fun clips I wanted to include. The one on the left is Bernie Sanders interviewing Molgoths. It's just a fun little clip. The Molgoths, we're talking about what's it called? They're talking about politics and how they felt about America at the time. I can link you when this is done because it is a really cool watch. And they did another interview in I think 2020, and they're still goth today. But basically, the interview was just like I said, their politics and them expressing themselves. And Bernie Sanders in 1988, that's when this episode happened, had his segment called Bernie Speaks. And it was just an interesting interview to listen to these kids, how they felt about America and what they felt could change and be better in the 80s, dressed as goths, which was seen as morally corrupt. And on the right is Marilyn Manson being interviewed, I believe, on the Donahue show, one of the shows in 1999 about moshing. And on his left, next to him are two parents concerned about it. And it was a really interesting interview with a whole board of people for moshing, people against. And Marilyn Manson advocates for moshing as it's seen as a way to dance, have fun, and get out anger, which is backed up by statistics that I found in a different source. And Marilyn Manson states, I think parents should raise their kids better, or else someone like Marilyn Manson is going to. He was very disappointed that parents were blaming him and wanting him off the air, rather than looking at their own parenting and seeing if they could do something. In conclusion, Satanic Panic did have its positive impacts and negative impacts during the 60s to the 90s, and it's worth looking into because it caused such a moral turmoil in social history. And Satanic Panic was fueled by Satanism being popularized by Anton Lavey, media coverage in different art forms, and anything with a hint of demonic nature was considered satanic, and anything that countered the conservative culture at the time was considered satanic. And Satanism's understanding went from an actual practice of religion to a corruption of a morally correct nation. And some further points on that is counterculture played a big part in Satanism as well. And I mentioned in my paper, the gay liberations movement and women's rights movements were considered morally corrupt and satanic in some instances. And I can go in further detail after I'm finished, but they both were. It was just such a polarizing time with Satanism, counterculture. And it's still happening, unfortunately. Rapper Lil Nas X is deemed satanic for his sexuality in one of his more recent music videos, Montero, which has him lap dancing on Satan's lap. But however, he is regarded as morally corrupt and satanic. The band Ghost is considered satanic for their lyrics and imagery, and which is for them is just a way to tell a story that Tobias Forge is writing through his music. And they were banned from commercial stores, late night shows, and commercial radio stations until they became more radio friendly. And they were also protested against when they did a concert in one of the states in the Bible Belt. And the show Good Omens and its book counterpart were also deemed satanic for the satire directed towards Christianity and for making a demon and the Antichrist likable characters. And the list goes on and on. There's a lot of things considered satanic. Pokemon is considered satanic. Yu-Gi-Oh! Was considered satanic. Code Lyoko, I remember as a child, was considered satanic. And there's just so much more in more modern times. But my degree focuses on history, so I have to keep it in a more historical context rather than a modern time. Yeah, Code Lyoko. I remember, because I used to go to a Christian preschool, and every now and then I'd pass by it, and I'd talk to one of the old teachers there, and she was saying, Code Lyoko, man, it's influencing these kids. It's bad. Yes, Pokemon was considered satanic for a bit. I remember reading a source saying that Pokemon leads to a portal of demonic, to a demonic world. Harry Potter is also deemed satanic because of witches. And yeah. Acknowledgements. I wanted to give a special thanks to Sarah Chase. As mentioned before, she is the infernal high mistress of the Church of the Four Crown Princes, and she provided me documents from the Church of Satan that were very hard to access, aka not found or very expensive. And she helped understand some of the language in there. And the blanked out place is another special thanks to some professors at my university. They helped with assisting with sources and different avenues to take with this project. And that's it. These are my primary citations used for this presentation. And these are my secondary citations used for this presentation. The end. Satanic Panic. That is all.
People clap. Thank you for the presentation. We will now have a Q&A session. You're allowed to ask anything, including stuff not related to the presentation. If you have questions for Dr. Pox or me, I don't know why you would ask me a question, but in case you did.
What's your favorite color?
It's my favorite color. Green. Color of stink. Yeah. Very epic. Oh, and if you would like to leave some socials in the chat.
Yes. I shall do that.
Yeah, dude, that was an entire panel.
Yes.
An entire panel like during our capstone night. Honestly, my favorite part about doing stuff like this on Twitch is I'm allowed to ramble and I don't have to public speak it. I don't have to enunciate. I don't have to have very clear, concise points. Ooh yee, go hit those up. Dr. Pox is quite a good artist. Ooh, trash metal.
Jambeard, we've gone over this plenty of times with polyester. I have a speech impediment, so yes, I did mean to call him a trash metal band. Thank you for the question. Very much appreciated.
Oh, dude, fielding questions like a pro right there.
Let me get my little hand sheet that our professor gave us.
You got following the how to field questions like a pro. Wow. Hit him with the thank you for the question. Very epic, very epic. Jamie has been destroyed. Oh god. But anyways, any other further questions? I have a question as well, but I want to make sure chat also gets in. Okay, I guess I go with my question then. Sierra Chase, Infernal High Priestess. How does what is the hierarchical structure of satanic churches?
Thank you for the question. I'm not entirely sure with the different ones. I know at the Church of Satan, there was the Black Pope, which is the head, which is Anton Lavey before he passed. And then there's different levels. I know his daughter, Zena Lavey, before she left the church, she was like the spokesperson after Lavey decided not to be in the public anymore. But for other churches, I'm not entirely sure. That would be further research to do for my independent research next semester. Thank you for the question, my fellow professor.
Thank you. And also, how does one rise to the rank of Infernal High Priestess? Did that ever come up in the interview?
No, I think it was just probably her participation in the church, taking part in different activities. In that interview, they were talking about a thing they did in the public. I believe it wasn't so much of a protest, but more of like an exhibition of their church. So she probably did stuff like that and gained further power into the church.
I see. So if I wanted to rise to the rank of Infernal High Fart, I should start like participating like now, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Or in the Church of Satan.
Oh.
There's further research to be done in this, but different sects of Satanism came out, like the Temple of Set, because Anton Lavey was selling positions in the Church of Satan, which pissed people off.
Colonialism in Latin America. It's come all for a circle, dude. We learned about it in school so we can prevent history from repeating itself.
Yeah, so him doing what the Catholic Church was doing pissed some people off, and they formed their own church, their own churches and temples.
Does that mean you can still purchase positions?
I'm not sure. They didn't say anything about that on the website, on the Church of Satan website.
Yet. Perhaps I can purchase myself the rank of Exalted High Sorcerer. I conjure these hands. Ooh, Pog Champion.
I cast the spell Gun and use Bullet.
Exactly. And then I cast Eldritch Blast and roll triple nat ones. I'd love to see it. Cantrip game. Would you like to... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to answer Jambier's question of what you can do to help your local Satanists. Just tell them you have your support, and if you want to join, like, the temple or anything else that catches your fancy, do so. Just be uplifting. There's also donations that you can do. The Temple of Satan does accept donations to help with, like, abortion rights being invalidated. My bad. Is Dead by Daylight satanic? I would bet you there are some people that think it's satanic. Should you panic? Maybe.
Furthermore, is there any other satanic themed games recently that you've noticed? Like, would you consider, I'm trying to think of it. Oh, Skyrim? Do people think Skyrim's satanic?
I did not see anything about Skyrim per se, but I'm sure people do think that. I have seen people claim Doom is satanic.
A game about killing the demons? I think you fight Satan in there as well.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Thank you for the question.
All right. Oh, shall we look at the clips? Ooh, Pog. I want to see the burning clip again.
I can go back and then find the link real quick.
Yeah, hit me up. Secretly going back through. Also, I'm going to turn the alerts on back on. It's funny, when you guys watch the VOD, there's just going to be a random resub notification from June's Prime Gaming. And then, like, the German text-to-speech starts playing as Dr. Pox is still lecturing. There it is. Oh, here we go.
And just in case you're interested, the Marilyn Manson one as well.
Ooh, hyped. How much would you like to watch of this next one?
We We could just probably do a minute.
A minute? Ooh, okay, perfect.
Whatever you want to do, and it doesn't matter. I can be...
Ooh, it's got like that 2001 audio.
If you want to say.
Hell yeah.
I don't like the way society's run.
Okay, well, let's...
Ah, me neither.
It's hot out, everybody's plastic.
All right, and all right, talk about that. What specifically? What are the aspects of society that you
He's
don't
got
like?
such
How
a Bernie
do you
accent.
think?
People are not open-minded enough. They think that in order to be stable in society, you have to have money, you have to live in a suburb, you have to do the set things, such as have so many people over for dinner a night, a week.
Dang, people keep
or
saying
you're not
this these
socially
days.
acceptable. You gotta dress a certain way to be socially acceptable.
Oh,
And
camera hit.
I don't believe in
He repositioned it.
having to
Nice.
belong to anything to be a person. I can do basically what I want with my appearance, with my
He's
attitude,
the
and it
cool
doesn't
school
matter.
counselor.
Okay, well, that's a good statement. I appreciate that. And would you like to add to that?
Well, about the dress, it shows the way you feel, you know? Like, people wear black because they're not feeling too good about what's going on around them.
Ooh.
Like, some of the stuff that goes on in the society, you know, is basically baloney.
Basically
Say
baloney.
that the democracy is so truly free. And,
He talks
I
about
mean,
democracy. He
that's
talks about
fine, but
democracy.
The way we're living in this democracy isn't a true democracy.
He talks about it's not a true democracy.
Like, everybody's always complaining about depression and such. Well, that's going to happen in the democracy. It's natural, because if you have a democracy,
Talks
there's
about how
going to be
depression
conflict.
happens in democracy. Dude, I like this guy.
Like, I guess that, I mean, they shouldn't be complaining because that's what they asked for, you know? What kind of...
Okay, we got a little clip of that. That was actually really interesting. Yeah, let me pause it really quick. And let me pull up the next one. Ooh, the Marilyn Manson interview. Epic.
That's funny. Twiggy.
Big epics, big plugs.
To do what we do.
Oh, he looks so different in this
Music
one.
To do what it does.
Yeah, he does.
I think that.
Well, actually, did I ever tell you about Aftershock and the that one music festival? I actually got to see Marilyn Manson live, and I was like, dang, he's old now.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Of, what Christians
Well,
would
Marilyn
call,
Manson's
the
definitely an
apocalypse.
interesting character to look at, especially in movies sometimes, but
The
he played a big
culture
part
is just
in
getting more and more
this.
destructive, and I think it, this is a sign of the times. And I didn't invent it, you know.
No, you didn't. In fact, you look a little like Alice Cooper.
Oh, holy shit.
Would any of the Marshers know how many deaths have occurred?
Well, the Mitchells are only too painfully aware of one. I don't know of any other.
This is the first I've ever heard of, and one at Woodstock.
Well, but we have a broken back over here. Woodstock, too, featured moshing, didn't it?
Absolutely. They were the biggest
Oh,
hit in the world.
right,
And
about the
great.
moshing
There's also
thing.
a difference between the moshing, I think, which isn't as violent as stage diving. I think stage diving tends to be ignorant. If you're going to jump off a stage,
I feel like that was an
you
insult
expect
from
to
like
get
back
hurt.
in the day.
We try and discourage people from even coming
You
on
look
the
like
stage,
Marilyn,
so that's
or you look
my
like
place of
Alice
business.
Cooper.
If you come where I'm doing my business, then you should plan on doing business, or you're going to get hurt.
Well, doing business. In other words, if they come up on the
Performing,
stage...
there's a lot of heavy instruments and things like that. If you're coming up there, you're going to get hurt. There's a good chance. We try and discourage people from coming on the stage.
Right, how do you do that?
We make an announcement before the show.
But if somebody comes up on the stage, they're likely to be
Well, the bouncers shove them back out, and
Well,
that's how
so
they
do
end up
you.
getting hurt all the time.
Well,
Yeah,
so-
I do too. If they hit me, I'm going to hit them back.
Right. Here you are with a bit of profanity with a stage crash.
A bit of profanity.
Watch this. Marilyn Manson, the performer, encounters a citizen from the audience and says what?
Uh-oh. Oh, link to the vids in chat.
I shall do that.
Yeah, I'll hit him up. I got you guys. Huh. Huh. Watch your profanity. Very pog, very pog. That was a very... I like how they just, like, ended the clip right there.
Watch your profanity. Yeah.
But anyway. Any other further questions for Dr. Pox? Well, that should be a wrap then. Thank you guys for coming to the guest lecture by Dr. Pox. A readout of their thesis once again. Satanic Panic, Moral Turmoil in the United States from 1960 to 1999. Actually, one more question. Wait, what was the decision on the time frame? How come the cap was at 1999?
The decision with the time frame was basically our professor advised me not to make too broad of a topic, so I can put a lot of detail into this rather than having to cover so many topics. Because even then, I did have to cut some stuff out because procrastination and last minute writing.
Ah, yeah, there we go. I feel.
But the decision was keeping it before 2000 to keep it more in the more historical sense, and then 1960 as 1966 was the start of the Church of Satan, and I wanted to start there. But there is a lot of stuff that happened before that kind of built to this turmoil.
I see.
Thank you, Fudan. Thank you.
Yes, thank you everyone who came for 5 minutes, for 40 minutes, for the entire 56 minutes. One last plug of socials. I think I can actually pull up your... Is the Twitter you use the one I'm allowed to plug?
Yes.
That one, and I followed apparently the art account of Galaxypox, and for 2 years it stayed like that. And then I realized Galaxypox had a main. I'm like, cool, I should follow that one too. Ah, here we go. Oh, Pog, you're 22? Epic.
We did dox me.
Get doxed, destroyed. It's not like it's on that profile anyway. Commissions are open, by the way. 2 out of 4 slots. Ayo. Up anyway, I'm gonna go queue up a raid really quickly. I'm gonna check if this person's still streaming. I'm gonna send you guys over to this person named Huameishi. They're playing Terraria, big epic. Here are my socials and the raid messages for our subs and unsubs. I will be back tomorrow doing some more Warhammer painting. It was a great pleasure having Galaxypox on stream for a guest lecture. Would you be interested in doing Chernobyl? Ooh.
I would actually be interested. I just gotta reread up on my research, but I would be interested in talking about Chernobyl.
Yeah, very epic. It'll probably be the same size as this stream as well. About 20 minutes talking, and then got some 10 minutes leeway Q&A. We can watch some clips. We can watch the HBO show and have the VOD to be taken down. Very epic, yeah. Very epic. Yeah. Support your local artists. Make sure to commission Galaxypox. Starting in college student, the honor only pays for only so much of her education. Make sure to support. But anyway, guys, I'll see you guys tomorrow, 7 p.m. for my regular art stream. We'll be doing Flesh Terrors, doing an assembly stream. I might be doing basing as well as just minis. But Saturday, I think I'm doing the same thing as well. But oh, there goes my phone. Make sure to go follow Galaxypox. And I believe, in terms of more history news, we'll have guest lecturer Ben coming in talking about Rome next week. That'll be pretty epic. And eventually I'll talk about my senior thesis once I stop procrastinating on doing it for Twitch. But anyways, thank you guys for joining us, and I hope you all have a wonderful... What's today? Wednesday? Thursday night. Goodbye, everyone. Have a good one.
Augers.
Oh, my shield.
Here, I got it.